Oh man, what's up, Emerald Coast? I'm ready for our Seinfeld episode after listening to
I'm gonna spend the whole day as you got the opening to the show, and I'm sitting there just watching and going, okay, are we starting? But then
follow the bouncing logo.
Watching all the photos, going, yeah, that's neat. Bow Lake's photo and downtown and Miramar Beach, and it's fantastic. You know?
Well, welcome to What's Up, Emerald Coast. I'm your host, RJ Murdoch. This is Chris Seaman. Wednesday, May 13th,
How about
2020.
That? How about that?
And we've got a great guest today. It's actually elevated our status in the community here. We're legit now.
Legit. Legit. We are not legit. We're trying to get there. And
we're getting there.
He's not here yet, but as soon as he gets here, we'll bring him on because we got a lot to talk about. Because this makes it official when we're bringing officials on.
He's an official.
Yeah. I think we had to bribe him.
Yeah.
It's illegal to bribe officials, but it depends on,
He should be on pretty soon, so let's go ahead and knock out some of our
you got some tell people where to watch the show, RJ.
Yeah, but of course we have to do our shameless plug.
Yep.
So if you're watching us on Emerald Coast TV. Oops, I keep doing that. You were on the Emerald Coast TV Facebook page, but we're also doing live to YouTube, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV as well. So you could definitely give us a shout out, especially on the Facebook. If you're watching us, shout out because we may put your comment live on the screen.
Oh, we will. Especially if you talk some smack.
Right. And then speaking of the show, we have a legit Facebook page that we're trying to get populated. We would love to go live to it first, but we need some followers. So if you get an opportunity, go ahead and like both. Like the Emerald Coast TV, like thing. And do you have a crabisland.com TV?
I don't have really an update on crabisland.com for our weather report yet because it's just pretty.
Yeah, but do you have a Facebook page for it yet?
I do have a Crab Island. We have crabisland.com actually is the Facebook page.
Is the Facebook?
crabisland.com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had to go through Mark Zuckerberg personally to get the .com included. There was a form. It was about 17 pages I had to fill out and about 30 signatures, but I included the .com. And there's also Facebook Live, Crab Island Live. So I share this to those pages as well. And there's our guest today. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on because besides the pandemic, when you come back to our lives, I still think the biggest controversy is going to be beach access, and now it's becoming Crab Island access.
Yeah. So access in general to normalcy for the most part.
To the masses.
Yeah.
To why we live here.
Yeah. Well, before we're going to get him, he's getting ready. He's coming on board. But let's go knock out our national days out of the way.
What's
today? What do we got? Oh, I love this one.
Food.
National Apple Pie Day.
It's National Vanilla Ice Cream Day because
you got to combine the two together.
They should be that should be paired together.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And then of course for your
keep going, food guy.
It's National Crouton Day.
I don't know about that.
If you're keto, following keto, and all that.
There's more pictures of bacon in there.
Yeah, I did notice that myself.
The croutons, because people take the croutons out of the salad too. But then if you're a crouton eater, you really love the croutons. Mm-hmm. But, the people on a diet, the people just don't want, they take them out. It's kind of like eating crust on a pizza.
Yeah. So toss them to the dog.
Yeah.
National Receptionist Day. You don't realize how important the reception is. Yeah.
Yeah. National Reception. I'll just say this. Anybody that's got a business or organization, charity, government, you're only as good as the team around you and someone that manages. Maybe that's what's wrong with our show. We
don't have a receptionist.
There we go.
Yeah, the line of people waiting to go ahead and get their show produced right here in our studio. That would be great. And this is really important because these guys are like the unknown heroes. National Third Shift Workers Day.
What business do you think of immediately when you see that?
I think of all the people that are stocking.
I think of Waffle House.
Of what?
Waffle House.
Waffle House.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Third shift.
Can you imagine being the third shift at Waffle House?
That's
probably the most crowded.
That's just locally, but yeah, you got to give it to. A friend of mine is a nurse, and she's a traveling nurse, and she does the third shift.
So is my daughter.
So pandemic life, traveling nurse, third shift. That's pretty amazing to me because, I mean, you're talking about your schedule is opposite everybody else's. She's getting off work while we're getting going.
I mean, utility. I mean, there's just so many businesses that have to operate 24 hours.
Third shift day, do you give them the...
You just give them recognition.
Do you give them the night off?
Yeah. You give them the day off.
Well, already sleeping.
No, the night off. Yeah,
so
it's something like that.
Off. Okay, fair enough.
You get them an extra hour of day
enough.
sleep.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So, hey, we wouldn't be here doing the show if we weren't fueled by Moz Coffee. Yeah. And by the way, looking pretty dapper there.
So
let's give a hand to
so he got to talk to
Clark,
Garrett, and he got his haircut right. So my man Joe over at Clark's Barber Shop.
Yeah. And that's just right down.
Well, yeah. Well, where we're sitting, it's right up Eglin Parkway, right behind Bank of America.
Right behind Bank
Clark's
of America.
Barber Shop. He's been there 5 years. He actually, I give him a little credit here. He took advantage of this opportunity of the downtime to remodel the shop. It already looked fantastic.
I know that building.
Yes.
I was actually going to buy that building.
There you go. That would have been a great.
Because I thought it would be a great little studio.
Yeah, it would have been a great studio. But
and
now
it's funny.
It's a fantastic barber shop.
He got a good
tattoo shop in there. He does great work, and it's a great vibe in there. It's it's a barber shop. It's a barber shop truly. And I pretty much was beating the door down, going, dude, when you're opening, what can I do to help you? I mean, I'm ordering masks for him because I want to make sure that I can get in there and get this. I can't. My Flowbee wasn't working anymore.
Yeah.
I was using a Flowbee.
I mean, for the most part, they almost have to be as protective as a medical practitioner or a health provider.
Absolutely.
With the shield and everything else
door
like that, because they're so close.
Everybody in the door is going to be sitting in a chair, and that's sitting there for 10, 15, 20 minutes. You absolutely have to be cautious about it. He and I talked about it. He is 100% on board to make sure his staff is
because we saw when Garrett was getting his that his hairdresser had the shield on and everything else.
Exactly what Joe's going to do over there, and it's a great little spot.
Well, and it's great that the businesses are finally get a chance to reopening.
Yeah.
And you know what? That kind of leads to our guests in some ways.
It's great seeing people's hair as they go into the store. So speaking of pretty hair, though, our guest today is fantastic because
he's up there. We got Ted.
Oh, in the hair category, Ken
and then maybe we put
Ted,
Nathan in the third.
Put Nathan Boyles in the
top, somewhere in the top 10, maybe.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because I know I'm not qualified. That's for sure.
Fair enough. So RJ, for Wednesday, this is one of the dreams of when we started this show all of less than a month ago. That there will be a day we have some legitimacy to the show, and I know I said to you on day one that there will be a day we will have some powerful people from Okaloosa County wanting to be on this show, and my vision was our guest today.
Today's the day.
Today's the day. I'm very proud of myself that it took us 3 weeks. I'm proud of us that it took us 3 weeks because I'm a fan. I get the newsletter, and I'm honored.
Nobody even knew who we were.
But you kind of chuckled at me when I said I believe we can have Nathan Boyles, County Commissioner, come on and talk a little bit about Okaloosa County.
We have Nathan,
and here we are. So
awesome. Let's bring Nathan on in.
Nathan,
hey Nathan, how you doing?
Very grateful to have you. Welcome to What's Up Emerald Coast, and where you can tell us all the things that are wrong with the county and all the things that you're doing to fix it, because that's pretty much what everybody asks you every day, I'm sure. And I do know that it's as we discussed the nationalness of the pandemic life right here at the prettiest beach in America. You have to funnel that down to local activity, and I commend you on the effort of you and the county commissioners and all that you've done.
Yeah.
So
yesterday they had a meeting.
Yeah, so you had a meeting yesterday.
And one of the topics that they were going to be talking about
right
was the drive-by testing capability in Okaloosa County, because Pensacola has had it, but we have no local place where we could go by do that.
So how about some details on that drive-by testing?
So happy Wednesday, fellas. Chris, good to see you again. You have sadly low standards if I am the benchmark, the high watermark that you were seeking. But I am nevertheless appreciative and honored and happy to be here. So we did have a meeting yesterday, and testing was obviously an important topic of discussion. And so we're really moving into this phase of attempting to reopen the economy, get folks back to work, and but we want to do so safely. And so one of the things that has been very important is having adequate testing capacity. Okaloosa County, we've been blessed by not having statistically very many cases here. So we're still under 170 total cases. What that's meant is that the state has not stood up a testing facility in Okaloosa County. They've been focusing those resources in other places. And so Okaloosa County, in partnership with the Department of Health, is kind of, taken on that responsibility. And we will be standing up effective to this Thursday, tomorrow, in fact, testing facilities. We're going to do a rotating basis, Tuesdays and Thursdays, across the county for the next 4 weeks. And the first stop is going to be in the city of Crestview Thursday. That'll begin from 8 o'clock till 11 a.m. And that'll be in the vicinity of the community center and the library up North 85. And that's going to be a free drive-up testing facility that any county resident can go to, whether you have been symptomatic or not. If you're just concerned about your exposure to someone who you think may have had COVID-19, you will be able to go and get tested for free.
That's awesome. That is totally awesome, because that's always been a question on my mind, and other people are like, well, I don't know, maybe did I have it, or you get a little sniffle and all that. You don't know, but it's not a test that you can tell right away. It's going to be, you're going to have to send it to the lab. So it's going to be a couple, like a week or so.
So how effective do you?
Yeah, that's right. So
how effective with the testing will that be, the follow up with lab work, to know that people can say, yeah, I got tested, between the window of when they say I have the virus or I don't?
Yeah. So obviously lots of tests are being conducted, and one of the big limiting factors is the lab capacity to run those samples and get an answer back. Obviously we don't have testing capacity to actually run those samples here in Okaloosa County. Those will be sent likely to a state lab. The good news is that in the last week, their response time has improved. So I was hearing, just 7 to 10 up to 14 days just a week ago, and that's now fallen. They're saying they can get those samples back within 5 to 7 days. And so that's a substantial improvement.
That is.
It's not immediate, which we certainly would prefer, but it's a definite improvement.
So if you follow the national news and try to translate down to state level news and local news, one of the big concerns is reporting the data as it rolls out downrange. As we're opening the state up, is that something that the county has to contend with about, hey, we're doing this testing? Is that going to be public information? Are we going to be able to hear as we go forward what's happening? Because we're opening our beaches, we're opening our restaurants. Personally, I literally, go through the city of Destin as I go to have lunch after my swim, and I'm watching lots of people with no masks, lots of social distancing, but not doing certain things. So as we go forward, are we going to hear about if this is working, if we need to make adjustments, do we need to take other steps? Are we going to hear about that?
Yeah, so certainly, the results, those numbers will continue to be published as far as the number of folks who have tested positive within Okaloosa County. And so we'll still be able to track, at least on kind of a county-wide basis, what our infection rate looks like. Again, we've been very fortunate here in Okaloosa County. I would reasonably anticipate with the start of these mobile free testing opportunities that we probably will see an increase in overall diagnoses here in about 2 weeks time as those results start to roll back in. I wouldn't be prepared to panic from that. I would anticipate really that is going to come down to the fact that much more testing has become available, and then I think you'll probably start to see that number settle back out again and then move back to some level of consistency. We'll be watching that very closely. Obviously, there are a lot of actions that we did, that were taken at the state level that were out of our control, actions that were taken by the governor, but there are other things that we are in control of at a local level. So one of the things we did was establish a committee. It's got a cross section of, business experts and health experts, and those folks are now going to meet weekly, and they're going to be digesting that data and then helping to make recommendations to the commission so we can make more informed decisions in the weeks and months ahead as we move towards reopening the economy.
Excellent.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure if you're the right person to answer this, or maybe you might know the question.
He is the right guy.
But let's say
I'm always the right guy.
Yeah. Let's say you went ahead and you got the test through the drive-through and all that. 5 days later, you find out are you finding out that you have it or had it, or
this is a test for positive? This isn't an antibody test.
Positive, it's an antibody test. But if you've had it before, if you've kind of had it but kind of went over it, or can you tell the difference between an asymptomatic person?
In other words, do you know what tests specifically we're doing? Are we doing the antibody test and just the positive test, or just the positive test, and then it's a question of tracing back to see who you've been in contact with?
Yeah, no, great question. And in fact, the discussion we had yesterday at our meeting on this topic. So initially, the test that we have available to us is going to be one that's testing for live virus within the body, as I understand it. And so that is, during the course of your active infection, and I think there's some tail period where it can still be detected. You then are going to reach a point where once you've recovered, that they would no longer obviously be able to trace live virus. That's when the antibody test becomes helpful to determine if you're still carrying around the antibodies that were developed to fight the virus. Those tests are kind of a little slower in coming online, but those are becoming available. And I anticipate that you will see that ultimately, maybe not in the first couple of weeks, but down the line, you'll see these mobile testing facilities will be offering both of those test opportunities. And so we'll be able to get a look at both kind of forward looking and reverse looking to see if maybe you had already been exposed and recovered.
Fair.
Now, where will we find the schedule? Because you'd mentioned you're going to be alternating.
Probably
every
on the
Tuesday,
county
Thursday,
website,
right?
County website.
Yes, sir. And so that'll be being published this week. Again, they went ahead and got that first date out. This has been a fast-moving process. Our staff has done really good at kind of coordinating this on the fly. There's going to be locations in Fort Walton Beach, Niceville, Destin, Crestview, and Baker. Again, the first one this week, tomorrow, is in Crestview, and that schedule will be published before the end of the week, where folks will know on coming Tuesdays and Thursdays as we move around the county where they'll be able to get access to that testing.
Thank you. So let's shift to a little bit of pandemic life, Commissioner. There was life in Okaloosa County prior to a pandemic, and now we're dealing with a pandemic. But as you've managed, I'll borrow my buddy Chatham Morgan's phrase, manage this dumpster fire from you've got to be at the top of the heap here for answers and decisions with the other commissioners. Tell us a little bit about the struggles dealing with the neighboring counties. And the reason I ask is, at one point last week or so, where I don't know, it seems like 2 or 3 years ago now, you can hardly tell, you lose track of time when you're quarantined. But, a county 1,000 yards away from another beach, one beach 1,000 yards away has different hours. How much coordination was going on between county commissioners across county lines?
Yeah, so not enough, very honestly. And, there's some difficulties there. Certainly there was some disagreement on the Okaloosa County Commission. I took a different view than some of my other commissioners, and ultimately was not in the majority about trying to get our beaches open earlier for locals. The adjoining counties had the same, debates and discussions going on. And so it's hard to get consensus sometimes amongst 5 commissioners, impossible amongst 15 or 20.
Fair.
But, there was an effort amongst our county administrators to at least be coordinating and sharing information back and forth. I think this is going to be one of the things that we're going to learn as a takeaway lesson, whether it's better coordination, within the county, city of Destin and their beaches and Okaloosa County, where we saw the same discrepancy, or whether it's Walton and Okaloosa County beaches, having that discrepancy. I think that's one of the lessons we'll learn going forward, is finding the way to maybe formalize a panhandle committee, some type of group that could meet and be sharing that information and attempt to gather closer coordination. There were some good folks who tried very hard, and I think, frankly, we just missed the mark a little bit. But I hope that we learn from it, and during the next pandemic, I expect we'll be a little bit better organized.
I see you're in the fallout shelter.
Yeah, you're already prepared. You have fallout shelter. You got your flashlights ready to go. So let's.
I got a year's supply of rice. I'm good.
Yeah. So as you go forward in pandemic life, you don't get off the hook, as the county commissioner to only deal with pandemic issues. So what other issue right here in Okaloosa County? First, I want to commend you on making sure the highway through Destin along 98 is complete.
Yeah, and all the highway projects.
I appreciate that. I know you probably were out there running pavers yourself while you just to stay socially distanced, and I commend you on that work. I didn't know you had that type of manual labor in you, but I appreciate it. But what other major issue do you see either being exposed? Forgive the pun. Being exposed because of the pandemic scenario, or what is it that you just look forward to get back to talking about that was pre-pandemic Okaloosa County Commissioner things to deal with?
So, I think what you'll see is just returning. Certainly, I'll be returning to, 2 key priorities that I was gearing up to or continuing to work on pre-pandemic. The first, obviously, as you mentioned, is transportation. working to improve our transportation network, north to south and east to west across our county. I think what we saw during the pandemic pause was, gee, it's really nice when traffic's not atrocious. And so I think now we have a benchmark to aspire to, right?
That was great.
I mean, if there was a silver lining, it was the fact that you could get home to Crestview, in the afternoon in less than 2 hours from South County. So I think that gives us it gives us a benchmark to work towards. We need to improve our capacity and improve our flow so that we can get folks back and forth. Number two, I believe is beaches and public spaces, right? So we were geared up to have a big workshop to cover these issues. I've been nudging our county for a year to wade into this issue of public beaches and private beaches and start to resolve some of the conflict and uncertainty that exists out there on that front, and also start to look to ways to find better public access to the public beach. Sure. Both, separate and distinct, but both important issues. And I think, what we found, you take the beaches away from folks and we learn just how important they are to people. Right. I still have 500 emails in my inbox to sort through on that subject alone, I think. And so we need to deal with that issue. And the longer we wait, the more difficult it will be. And, I've advocated, we have 210,000 citizens now and our beaches are full and there's conflict. Well, what is it going to look like for my kids or their kids when there's 300,000? 400,000 residents in this county, and there are no additional linear foot of beach. And so I hope that is one that we'll jump back into with both feet just as soon as we can. Hopefully this summer we can start to, find out a way to begin the long process of tackling that issue.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, between that and
that brings up a really good issue here, because I know in our neighboring county, we've got a lawsuit that's going towards the state where private landowners started to expose that, they wanted to be on their backyard and public people wanted to be on their public beach at the same time. I can imagine the difficulty of the guy at the county level. You're kind of stuck. You're literally stuck between two ugly choices. And I think, I don't know if maybe you were upset and then you took it out on Crab Island, but I noticed where you put up barricades and blocked off all that parking. Was that you? Is that what's going on there? Because I get a lot of Crab Island people that want to ask me that question.
So great question. And the answer is an emphatic hell no, that was not Okaloosa County. So we got notification of that about the time that the barricades were going up. We received a letter that came via the base commander here at Eglin, who has jurisdiction over that area, and the base commander decided that it was not good to have people at the foot of the bridge, apparently. And so there were some notions about, basically people just not following rules, also some concerns about safety and parking and maybe some issue of mission issues. I'm not sure, frankly, what the national security importance of, that little bit of sand at the foot of the bridge is, but I hope we'll work through that. 6 months ago or a little less, the commission had reached out and had actually started the process of trying to work with Eglin to discuss those areas and how the county could potentially take over jurisdiction and aid the military in actually managing that property while still having a place for the public to be able to go. Unfortunately, I guess that conversation had not really had the opportunity to develop before the base commander took his decision to close that area off. It's going to be a painful one. And I think it's going to further illustrate the fact that we do not have adequate public access to our beaches here in Okaloosa County, and we need to resolve that issue. I'm optimistic the base commander will sit down and talk with us about the issue, and that we'll be able to find a way forward. I believe there is a way to find balance. I think Okaloosa County is ready to be a partner, ready to bring funding, ready to bring security, and ready to bring whatever other items and efforts that the base deems is necessary to potentially allow some future public use of that area.
Nathan, I'll give you this. Yesterday's guest was our buddy Gareth over at Gilligan's Water Sports, and the positive side of that is the locals, as he put it, are spending their government-provided money. The pontoon rental business is thriving immediately by locals, and that's a great thing. I'm happy to see that. That's kind of like kickstarting the beginning of the economy. This is technically one of the slow times for Destin anyway, prior to Memorial Day. So we've been encouraging people, just be patient. It's going to happen. But I'm not going to say I'm self-proclaimed that I know what you're talking about along that bank, along the bridge right there. I've used that parking area quite a bit in the past, and but I see and I agree with you that that kind of got exploited a little bit of not just residents wanting to get there and have access, but businesses actually using government land to further their business, and there is something wrong with that. It's just not right. And as a guy who promotes Crab Island pretty regularly, you know, it was a shock, but I think it was a necessary thing. So we start to appreciate what we do have and how it needs to be done. So I commend you, and if I can help in that discussion at any time in the future, I'm happy to do it. But I'm thrilled to see that all those areas along Crab Island and Noriega Point and the west side of the jetty, it's spreading people out, and that's what we needed to have happen anyway right now. So, so
all right, but I've got a great question for you, and it's really important. I think not only for me but for everyone else. Chris tells me that you actually have a newsletter that you put out every Wednesday that kind of basically encapsulates the commissioners' meetings into layman's terms.
You don't have to watch the commissioner meeting anymore. You just wait for his official review.
How do I get on that?
So first off, couple things. One, there's nothing official about my newsletter, and I can assure you, fellow commissioners will strenuously object if anything within my newsletter is deemed official. If not official, it is certainly, I hope, somewhat unvarnished in that I do try and give maybe biased, certainly by me, but at least an unvarnished view of what's actually happening at the commission level. And I do try and deal with issues that may have otherwise not, risen to the level of interest for the newspaper, but which that I think the public would have an interest in hearing about. And so certainly, encourage folks to sign up. I have fun.
How do I sign up?
And I will clarify. Well, oh yes. So it's send me an email. It's N as in Nathan Boyles, BOYLES at myokaloosa.com. We'll get you on the list along with about 3,800 other constituents here in Okaloosa County.
And I'll tell you, RJ, the best part about that newsletter isn't really listening to what's going on in the county. A lot of it is, it's repetitive, it's mundane, even with his paraphrasing. The best part is Crystal's Corner, and I know for a fact,
there you go,
because you read about it. If you do read it, about this. You read about comments that come back on it. I've even read it in the paper where people put something in their editorial commenting about hers opinion of what's going on in the Boyle Empire, and so I want to ask you on a personal note, because I too have become a fan of Crystal's Corner as much as I admit to you, Nathan, I get the email and I skim immediately to the bottom. I read that first, and then if I feel like I need to know what's going on in the county, I'll go back and read your headlines, and that's great. But in the context of a national news where you have this, we seem to have these political dynasties, the Bush dynasty, Clinton's, probably a Trump dynasty. Can we expect that there will be a Boyles dynasty too? Is there going to be a second county commissioner? Is Crystal have that in her future? Can we replace you? What's happening around the dining table at your house? Huh? Say that again.
First step is I'm taking you off of the mailing list immediately.
Fair enough.
Second, no, she may be harboring some secret desire there. If so, she's not indicated to me. I figure probably one politician in the House is enough. That would need to mean that I probably have to die in order for her to assume that role. And so I'm going to hope not anytime soon. I'm hoping anyways.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Right. Well, that was great. It was really great having you on board, joining us for this and getting us up to date with what's happening this week. We hope to maybe keep this kind of a regular thing every other week.
Please come back as often as you'd like, and we get, just discussing what's going on. The whole purpose of us being here, as you're finding out the hard way here, is to talk about what's happening in the walls of Okaloosa County specifically, and get it out there on social media. So if there's any opportunity for you to come back in the future, we'd really love to have you. And thank you very much for being here today and bringing some legitimacy. Trust me, I leave today and I'm telling my mom, I'm telling everybody that Nathan Boyles was on our show today.
All right.
A low bar, man. A low bar.
It's all good, my friend. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was awesome.
Oh, that was so cool having him on there. I mean,
we're legit, baby.
We're legit. We're
legit. We got a county commissioner.
The city parks and
we're moving on up, man.
So
we're doing well.
And we've really gone over time, but it was really good information.
It was worth it today.
Really enjoy what you've been hearing, and you let everybody else know to tune in.
I like when the RJ's pointing at you. It's serious
I'm pointing
business,
right at you.
people.
This is it. So, any last words?
Man, I just want to say for a Wednesday, the weather's been fantastic here in the county as I'm grateful that it is that way. So as we open the beaches and get back to some normalcy, and before the swarm of tourists come to our town, that we manage our community correctly. We have to set an example. I hope we set an example. What needs to be done, and this is serious business, but we all need we need that sugar white sand. That's why we choose to live here. And all I can say is to the residents, the locals, our friends here, just take it one day at a time. And to the tourists that are dying to get here, man, just be patient. The beach isn't going anywhere. Nathan's going to make sure of that.
That's right there.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
well, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you tomorrow.
and to all my friends out there, stay rational. Stay rational, my friends.
Enjoy the day.
All right.